A half hour later, Shepherd came home. He dropped his raincoat on a chair in the hall and came as far as the parlor door and stopped. His face was suddenly transformed. It shone with pleasure. Johnson sat, a dark figure, in a high-backed, pink-upholstered chair. The wall behind him was lined with books from floor to ceiling. He was reading one. Shepherd's eyes narrowed. It was a volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. He was so engrossed in it that he did not look up. Shepherd held his breath. This was the perfect setting for the boy. He had to keep him here. He had to manage it somehow. "Rufus," he said, "it's good to see you, boy." And he bounded forward with his arm outstretched. Johnson looked up, his face blank. "Oh, hello," he said. He ignored the hand as long as he was able, but when Shepherd did not withdraw it, he grudgingly shook it. Shepherd was prepared for this kind of reaction. It was part of Johnson's make-up never to show enthusiasm. "How are things?" he said. "How's your grandfather treating you?" He sat down on the edge of the sofa. "He dropped dead," the boy said indifferently. "You don't mean it," Shepherd cried. He got up and sat down on the coffee table near the boy. "No," Johnson said. "He ain't dropped dead. I wished he had." "Well, where is he?" Shepherd muttered. "He's gone with a remnant to the hills," Johnson said. "Him and some others. They're going to bury some Bibles in a cave and take 2 of different kinds of animals and all like Noah. Only this time it's going to be fire, not flood." Shepherd's mouth stretched wryly. "I see," he said. Then he said, "In other words, the old fool has abandoned you." "He ain't no fool," the boy said in an indignant tone. "Has he abandoned you or not?" Shepherd asked impatiently. The boy shrugged. "Where's your probation officer?" "I ain't supposed to keep up with him," Johnson said. "He's supposed to keep up with me." Shepherd laughed. "Wait a minute," he said. He got up and went into the hall and got his raincoat off the chair and took it to the hall closet to hang it up. He had to give himself time to think, to decide how he could ask the boy so that he would stay. He couldn't force him to stay. It would have to be voluntary. Johnson pretended not to like him. That was only to uphold his pride. But he would have to ask him in such a way that his pride could still be upheld. He opened the closet door and took out a hanger. An old gray winter coat of his wife's still hung there. He pushed it aside, but it didn't move. He pulled it open roughly and winced as if he had seen the larva inside a cocoon. Norton stood in it, his face swollen and pale, with a drugged look of misery on it. Shepherd stared at him. Suddenly he was confronted with a possibility. "Get out of there," he said. He caught him by the shoulder and propelled him firmly into the parlor and over to the pink chair where Johnson was sitting with the encyclopedia in his lap. He was going to risk everything in one blow. "Rufus," he said, "I've got a problem. I need your help." Johnson looked up suspiciously. "Listen," Shepherd said. "We need another boy in the house." There was a genuine desperation in his voice. "Norton here has never had to divide anything in his life. He doesn't know what it means to share, and I need somebody to teach him. How about helping me out? Stay here for a while with us, Rufus. I need your help." The excitement in his voice made it thin. The child suddenly came to life. His face swelled with fury. "He went in the room and used her comb," he screamed, yanking Shepherd's arm. "He put on her corset and danced with Leola. He—" "Stop this," Shepherd said sharply. "Is tattling all you're capable of? I'm not asking you for a report on Rufus's conduct. I'm asking you to make him welcome here. Do you understand?" "You see how it is?" he asked, turning to Johnson. Norton kicked the leg of the pink chair viciously, just missing Johnson's swollen foot. Shepherd yanked him back. "He said you weren't nothing but gas," the child shrieked. A sly look of pleasure crossed Johnson's face. Shepherd was not put back. These insults were part of the boy's defensive mechanism. "What about it, Rufus?" he said. "Will you stay with us for a while?" Johnson looked straight in front of him and said nothing. He smiled slightly and appeared to gaze upon some vision of the future that pleased him. "I don't care," he said, and turned a page in the encyclopedia. "I can stand anywhere." "Wonderful," Shepard said. "Wonderful." "He said," the child said in a throaty whisper, "you didn't know your left hand from your right." There was a silence. Johnson wet his finger and turned another page of the encyclopedia. "I have something to say to both of you," Shepard said in a voice without inflection. His eyes moved from one to the other of them, and he spoke slowly, as if what he was saying he would say only once, and it behooved them to listen. "If it made any difference to me what Rufus thinks of me," he said, "then I wouldn't be asking him here. Rufus is going to help me out, and I'm going to help him out, and we're both going to help you out. I'd simply be selfish if I let what Rufus thinks of me interfere with what I can do for Rufus. If I can help a person, all I want is to do it. I'm above and beyond simple pettiness." Neither of them made a sound. Norton stared at the chair cushion. Johnson peered closer at some fine print in the encyclopedia. Shepard was looking at the tops of their heads. He smiled. After all, he had won. The boy was staying. He reached out and ruffled Norton's hair and slapped Johnson on the shoulder. "Now you fellows sit here and get acquainted," he said gaily, and started toward the door. "I'm going to see what Leola left us for supper." While he was gone, Johnson raised his head and looked at Norton. The child looked back at him bleakly. "God, kid," Johnson said in a cracked voice, "how do you stand it?" His face was stiff with outrage. "He thinks he's Jesus Christ."